We're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingmen Show. I'm Drew Brown. We're here to inspire, entertain, and learn so we can all grow. Happiness and serenity are the keys. To you, my friend, my wingman, my main man, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Paul Thompson. Hey, Paul.
Good morning, Mr. Drew. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard from the one and only Drew Brown, Dark Gable, the American dream. He's the man, the myth, the legend. He's the pilot's pilot, the role model's role model, and most importantly, his royal fullness. Thank you for listening to the podcast, looking at the podcast. And if you could, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. We would appreciate it. I'm doing very good this morning, Mr. Drew. How are you?
I'm doing great. You ready to start this show?
I'm ready.
All right, well, check this out. Katrina was traveling and she was at an airport and she texted me a picture. And I believe she was in Fort Lauderdale. Anyway, she was waiting for her plane and there was this dude there dripping in diamonds all over. I mean, rapper style. I'm just telling you, like they look on the videos. Anyway, but his luggage was a Walmart bag. And she couldn't stop laughing and actually secretly took a picture of him and sent it to me.
Okay. Well, maybe the Louis Vuitton store was closed. And he had to get there and Walmart was there.
This is one of the people your Ayatollah targets. Your Ayatollah and Mikey Mouth, they target people like this. But that brings me to another story. And that story has to do with Katrina and I being in London. And do you know that fancy schmancy store they have in London called Harrods?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Oh, my God. We're talking about the rich of the richest. I actually found the jacket I would love to have, but it was $12,000. And I just was thinking to myself, no matter how nice this jacket is, when would I go buy a $12,000 jacket? I don't know, but it was gorgeous. But when I was there, what happened was I saw a woman, because, in London, it's very racially diverse, extremely. And there was a Muslim woman there in a burqa, totally black. Nothing was showing, nothing, except a $20,000 purse she was trying on. And it hit me that I needed to take a picture of this. Make a long story short, somebody saw me take the picture and said, that's not nice at all. Katrina and I got in a little argument and so on and so forth. The point being, and I took the picture, what made it weird is that the extremists in this country have taken advantage of women their whole life. Do you realize that in most of these religions, a woman cannot hold the Orthodox religions? I mean, the ones who are extreme. You cannot hold any seat of power. You can hold no seat of power. You can't be an Orthodox rabbi. You can't be a high priest. You can't be the Pope, and just on and on and on. And it's just amazing how they have pushed women back. And the reason for a burqa is that it's almost slave mentality. I think that a woman cannot be attractive because a man can't help himself. So if she's attractive and he does something to her, it's not his fault. That's bullshit, first of all.
Yes.
So I just thought it was odd that somebody was wearing a $20,000 purse in a burqa, because the whole idea of a burqa is not to be observed. You're supposed to blend in so a man cannot be corrupted by your beauty. That's my little story. What do you think?
Well, I think it's very interesting. I haven't seen anybody with Walmart luggage for a while, but the luggage.
What about your Ayatollah burqa story?
Ayatollah Burka story. Well, okay, I did a little research on it. He freaks out with any of that stuff. He doesn't know what it's called, but the hijab is just the basic head covering. Then there's the niqab, which is the head covering and a mask. So we've all been kind of niqab for a while, actually, with the COVID. And then you've got the burqa, which is everything except the mesh in front. Yeah, he freaks out when he sees that, very much so, for a lot of reasons I can't go into. But I did have a little story. There was one time we went to a restaurant in a Midwestern city, and we had a nice meal, and it was time to go to the restroom. And as he came out of the restroom, I saw him. He actually collided with a woman in a full burqa who was actually bigger than he is. He's a big guy. This woman was bigger than he was by about 4 inches.
Oh my God.
And his vision is not that great. So as they got close, they almost collided. And when he saw what he was colliding with, the way he kind of sat back and looked, I mean, it was priceless. I mean, it's like the combination of something unknown and the mother of all bad dreams coming together at a Red Lobster. And I'm just watching it from the distance. But he survived. It's a strange get up for most people in the West. And there's a lot of fears on, hiding weapons. It happens. You could do that easily. You can actually hide a shotgun in a pair of jeans. There's a lot of fear about security. If you go through any, force training, they'll show you. It's a classic video of this young man, and he's got like 20 guns on him, and he got a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. And he said, "What do you think I got?" Nothing. Then he just starts taking them out. I mean, the shotgun comes out at the end, which is pretty impressive. And there was like no way to tell. He wasn't wearing shorts. He's wearing jeans. So the fear of the unknown is there. It's all black. It's covered.
Paul, what I didn't like, it wasn't that religion. It was extremists of all religions take advantage of women and have been since the beginning of time. So I didn't want to just pick out that one religion. That's not what that wasn't the point of this. It's just that, you're not supposed to say nigger, but you can say pimp. You realize pimping is the slavery of women, mentally and physically. So it just kind of astounded me. And I'm just amazed that, there are so many strong women and so many great role models that are not athletes, once again, and not singers and musicians. There's a lot of strong women, but it just boggles my mind about the $20,000 purse and the burqa. How about this? I went to a black university, Southern University of New Orleans. I first went to New Mexico State and had the greatest year of my life, but it was so great I flunked out. Came back home, went to Kingsborough Community College and got a full scholarship to Southern University in New Orleans. Anyway, they're now talking about paying athletes, which I think is long overdue. These schools make huge amount of money off these kids' names. And a lot of these kids don't go on to be pros. And they've made people millions of dollars, in schools, millions of dollars. I mean, these schools are so wealthy in their sports departments. So it's about time to pay the athletes. The issue I would like to talk about is who gets what. Because University of Texas football brings in millions. Southern University of New Orleans basketball brings in about $225 a game. Okay. And that's because the students are free. So I'm not joking. Do I not get paid? Does that mean that every athlete is going to go where they pay the highest? Does that mean that the golfer at the University of Texas that is making millions from football, does he get a cut of the pot? Do athletes, in other words, will it be equally divided? That's a great thought. I want to hear what the doctor thinks about that.
Yeah, I heard about this ruling from the Supreme Court, and as I understand it, they may not get direct compensation right away, but the ruling allows for them to receive school services. They can get help for graduate school, pay of certain fees. It's kind of opening up the door for pay, but they left enough wiggle room in there where they don't have to start paying them directly. And it's something called NIL, name, image, and likeness. Now, if the universe starts using that, that's when they can start to get paid. When they're using their, say, like a Herschel Walker or some famous college athlete, and they got his picture or image or something like that, then it's opened up. He might be able to get a lot of money. I never saw why it was so important to keep them so poor. You talk about the student athlete. Well, let's look at big time programs, say Duke or Kentucky, and they play for the coach for a school year, and then they're in the pros. So how long's the school year? Okay, you show up in what? Maybe they have come there in August, September, and you're in the NBA draft in March, April the next year.
That's one and done.
You're one and done. But my point is, it's not even a good one. It's less than a year.
What about all the other athletes? What about the 99 percentile?
They're not getting anything.
Yeah, but they still use their images.
Yeah, and there may be some compensation for them. It depends. If to say the team is wearing Nike or whatever, okay, that's so if a college athlete wants to do an endorsement deal with Under Armour or something like that, I wonder if they can step in and prohibit that. Say, here, we're wearing Nike here. So I could see some conflicts of interest. But I don't think there's any big problem with giving them a few dollars. What's the big deal? When they get millions and billions, when they sign these contracts for numbers of years at the cable stations, and they use that money to finance other parts of the university, they pay coaches, they pay the staff, maybe they build a chemistry lab, they do a lot of things with it. Is it so bad that you put a few dollars in the pockets of the people who are running, who don't have any collective bargaining agreement? If they get hurt or injured, they can be just tossed away and recycled like garbage. What's the big deal? What would it hurt to give somebody a debit card or something? Put some money on it. Go buy a little something. I don't see any big deal. But from what I've read, the NCAA's attitude is if we do give them a dime, it's almost like you want to keep them on a plantation. If we give them a dime, the whole world will collapse. That's ridiculous.
No, but Texas can get a dime. I love Texas because both my kids got basketball scholarships there. But no, Texas could give that. Southern University doesn't have the money to give you a debit card. That's the issue. These black universities, the smaller universities, the public schools, some of them just don't have that money to pay. And so that means they won't be able to be competitive in that sport. You realize how much money these teams are making, even the pro teams. There's a second baseman on the Mets. I have no idea what his name is. He just signed a $220 million contract. He just signed a $220 million contract. I don't even know his name. The point being, if you can pay somebody $220 million, how much do you think the Mets are making? Big time money. They're not getting gypped. Right. So there's a lot of money out there, but I just don't see how it can be equally distributed. And while we're talking about sports, Paulie, did you know? Yeah, we both talked about it. The NFL, this guy came out, I think with Instagram or something, and he said he was gay. It was a pretty intense video. He's a nice guy. I said, I got a nice family. I got friends. And I just wanted to come out. And he got a lot of reaction from some of the players in the NFL, and they were all positive. What do you think about that one?
Well, I know I think he's been playing, I forgot the name, but he's been playing like a few years. There was another guy before who was drafted. I think he played for the Chiefs for a while and then got cut like the next year. But that seems to be the trend in a lot of things. I was thinking about the Olympics coming up, and then there's a transgender athlete that is going to represent New Zealand, I think, in weightlifting, powerlifting. And there's a lot of talk about that. They said they complied with all the restrictions, all the rules.
Okay, wait, can you be more specific?
I guess a man who identifies as a female, and he's going to compete in female powerlifting. Which any of that.
And how are they going to prove that he's now a female? Is it DNA? Do you know any scientific way? Is it just because he believes it in his heart, which can be very, very true? He has more chromosomes of female than male. I mean, anybody who doesn't believe that doesn't believe in Shorty, because Shorty doesn't make BS. So they're part of God's children too. My point being, how are they going to say, in other words, maybe you could be 6'10" in basketball, not be that good, and then all of a sudden say, I'm a girl? I mean, let's say there really is a guy like that, which I'm sure there is. Okay. What is being passive aggressive?
Passive aggressive, yeah.
Right. I didn't truly understand passive aggressive until I thought about it, and I have a wonderful cleaning person. Her name is Anya. I love her. I love her family. She's great. Anyway, I have a big house and she does it all by herself. And sometimes she misses one or two things. Anyway, so when I was getting ready for the show this morning, I looked at my soap dish and it wasn't clean. And I was wondering, how should I tell her this? Should I say, I know you're rushing a lot, but you missed the soap dish, real kindly. And I realized that was passive aggressive. I'm trying to say one thing, but I'm using something else to say it. I thought passive aggressive had to be negative, and it just doesn't. So anyway, I love you, Anya. Shout out to you. She listens to our podcast, and anybody else who's listening to our podcast or watching this podcast, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share, and I think it's a thumbs up on YouTube. Please do that. But shout out to my girl, Anya, and her family. She's the bomb.
Yeah. Well, Anya is the bomb now, because you live in a big house, and to clean that big house all by yourself, does she have a crew or is she by herself?
All by herself. She just, I don't know. She does it like in an amount of time that I just think is, wow, how did you do that? So if she does miss one or two things, that's where my brain went.
Okay, if you live in a big house, then it's amazing she can even walk through it in 4 hours. So
okay, Paul, it's not that big. And most of the rooms are not being used, so she just does a little dust, boop, boop, beep, beep. Most of the rooms are not like, it's not a hotel. It might look like one, but it's not. It's actually called NPP, no people property.
Okay. I bet if you clean your own house, you probably miss more than that. You'd miss more in the soap dish. Yeah, so be quiet. Be quiet.
I will. Sorry, Anya. I was being passive aggressive.
Yeah, you're talking about SEER School, which is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. Pleasant.
That was the craziest thing I've ever done in my life, period. That was right next to the Hilo Dunker. The Hilo Dunker, I think, was one because I did think I was going to physically die, and it wasn't a joke. Number two, the only thing that saved me in SEER School is that I had to remember in the back of my mind that they're on my team some kind of way, somehow. And I actually forgot that they beat me so bad. Well, they abused me so bad. Yeah. And what I was telling you was the enemy were Russians back then for you and I when we went through SEER School.
Right.
And we also talked about it when you got your SEER certificate. They made sure to say that, look, you have the only record of you coming here. If you lose it, you'll have to come back. Right. And I remember you saying, because I did it too. I made 100 copies of that, and I distributed.
There's two right over there.
Guess what? I forgot to talk about, Paulie.
What?
Miss Israel.
Oh, that's right.
From what year, Paul?
2013.
One of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, and I'm just not sure why they didn't put this in Black history. She is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, and she's a Black Miss Israel. Gorgeous. Why isn't that in Black history? Why didn't I know about that also? Is it not called International Black History or just American Black History? I'm not sure. That's why it's not Black History. It's history.
Well, yeah, I didn't know it. You told me. Her name was, looked it up. Her name is Yityish Anya. And she was from she's from Ethiopia, Ethiopian background.
No, her parents were from Ethiopia. She is Israeli.
Right. Well, no, she immigrated to Israel. She immigrated
but she was always Jewish.
Yes, she was always Jewish.
Ethiopian
she was always Jewish. Well, part of the philosophy.
Oh, really? She was an immigrant?
Yeah, she was an immigrant.
That's even cooler.
Her father died when she was young, and then her mother died shortly thereafter, and she went to Israel. She was brought to Israel by her grandparents were living in Israel. Like I say, come earlier. And she was raised there, and she went to the Israeli army, which everyone has to do. She rose to the rank of lieutenant, and she was in charge of a checkpoint or something like that. And then when her service was over, as kind of a joke, someone said, "Why don't you, enter a beauty pageant?" And she did, and won everything. And then she's dining with it's a picture of her dining with Shimon, president of Israel, Shimon Peres at the time, and Barack Obama.
Wow. Isn't that funny, Paul? All women in Israel must serve their country. They fly jets, they drive tanks, they carry weapons. And here's the thing. A lot of people would say, well, look how Israeli women are so strong. That's not the correct picture. The correct picture is the ultra-Orthodox women of Israel. Don't do that. You understand? Just like the ultra-Orthodox Muslims are the ones who wear the burqas. So it's the extremists. And it just doesn't matter in Judaism or Islam. In Christianity, they're so extreme. Some of them drank grape juice so they could meet Jesus. Does that make sense? I've heard in the Catholicism, they would flog themselves. So there are extreme things in all religions, but that's the ones that the media points at, and I'm glad you and I don't. I'm glad the Wingmen Show, we're trying to bring some happiness into the world, right, Paul?
Yes, there's a lot of sadness and misery, and you can't do that all the time. You need to learn how to relax and laugh a little bit, and not just wait for the end of the world to come in the next 5 minutes. Sometimes everybody needs to take a news fast. Fasting is good, but you need a news fast. See if you can do a no news for a day. That's kind of tough to do. It's easy to do. No, it's not. Because if you get used to it, you'll feel a lot better. Do no news for a month if you want to really feel good. If you want to take a vacation. Yeah. Well, you got to put your phone away. You got to get off any screens. The stuff is coming all over the place. Even pumping gas sometimes they get stuff going. You're looking at this and that happened. The stock is up, stock market's down. So gets shot. And I'm looking at stuff. I'm at Costco getting gas. There's a lot of information out there. The Hawks won last night. I saw that. Hawks won in the Eastern Conference Finals. They won the first game. I watched it. Yeah, so did I. I made it barely. Usually, I always watch games in the morning because I tape it so I don't have to watch commercials. Because I get a real early workout, and then if I have some time, I'll watch a game, the whole game, and I fast forward right through it. I hit number 4. Boop! There's almost no commercials. Yeah, see, they were underdogs big time. They were underdogs the last. I was really upset about the Trey Young trade in the beginning. I'm not going to kid you. I thought Luka Doncic. I thought we should have got him, and he has been proven to be super great talent. But my boy Trey is showing it, dog. Ice cold. Yeah. My boy Ice Trey is the bomb. So I now have to rethink. See, I probably used that word never. I probably used the N-word. And this is what Shorty gave me. Now Trey Young is the bomb. So I'm not sure I'd trade. I don't know. Maybe we could talk to him. Maybe we get him on the podcast one day. Man, that would be great. Just another example of everything you think you know, you don't. Right. Yeah, we might just learn something.
Hey, do you have a wingman story for us?
I do have a Wingman story. There's a guy named Jonathan Bauer, and it's about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. He basically turned into Superman. He was driving along a bridge somewhere in Maryland, and he came upon an accident. I don't know if you saw the accident, and a car was knocked like on the edge of the bridge, didn't go over. But in the collision, there was a small child that was ejected in a car seat, I believe, and she fell into the water, off the bridge and into the water. He saw what happened. He looked over and he jumped in. It was a 25-foot jump, 25-foot drop.
Wow.
He jumped in, got her upright, pat her on the back, got some water out of her, and some boaters saw what happened and came and picked them both up. He said his wife said he actually has a fear of heights. I remember doing the tower jump in water survival training. That was a good little distance. I think that's about it's like 30 feet up or whatever. That's a good little distance. You know, it's kind of funny. Do it a few times. It's okay.
Yeah, but you know what? In that training, that didn't bother me. It was the helo dunker. When they strapped you in to a contraption, turned you upside down. Yeah, with a blindfold, yes, and told you to go out a certain exit. I did it 14 times. You're only supposed to, I think, do it 12. Because the next time, if I didn't get it, I wouldn't have passed. But it wasn't that I wasn't getting out. I was out first, the first person, no matter where I was sitting in that goddamn helo dunker. Upside down, nose shooting up my nose, right, blindfolded. So when they said go, boop, first one out. You're supposed to wait until other people go. Just follow. It's only another 3 seconds. I mean, it's not a big deal. So the last time I knew it was this one or never. And I just blew air out of my nose and no water came in my nose. And I must have thought I counted to 1,000, but I wasn't going to let them win. And I thought I was going to die, but I waited. They were almost like, damn, come on out. Then I unbuckled, I came out, and I don't ever want to do something like that again. I'm not going to even use the N-word. Never. I'm not going to use that. That's how bad it was, Paulie. No
fun. Just stuff you got to go through sometimes.
So what happened to this guy, this wingman?
Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, he dove into the water, apparently unharmed, rescued the child. And I guess moments later, the boaters came over and fished him out of water, which is great. He was recognized by the local fire department and I think the local city as a hero. Mm-hmm. And as a special gift or reward, he got to ride. He was honored by the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds flight demonstration team. They actually gave him a ride in an F-16 for about 45 minutes or so.
Wow.
There's a picture of him climbing into the cockpit with a big smile on his face. You know, well deserved. Well deserved. That's a very, very happy story, very happy ending. I understand nobody was hurt.
That's great. What a great story. Do you realize, Paul, that every maneuver they do, we did, except that our audience didn't clap because we had bombed. They weren't clapping when we were doing all those maneuvers. But isn't that a trip to watch a jet? You know, when I was in jet training, even in Meridian, the first jet training, when I did T2s, when I went to Meridian, I saw formation of 4 fly over the base. I was like, I just don't think I could ever be that cool. I can't ever look that good. And then when I saw A4s, I was like, okay, I know that because now we're looking wartime planes anyway. Right, I won't ever forget that. But you've done something amazing flying those kind of jets, buddy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I look back on my memories, military flying, civilian flying. It's all been great. All been great. You can do a lot of things. I couldn't have imagined that I ended up doing what I was doing as long as I was doing it. You know, it's actually even good to be alive because there's some people who are not. Sometimes it's not always. There are accidents now and then, but I've had a number of close calls. I've actually had a couple of pretty big close calls in vehicles. You know, yeah. That's actually more dangerous. That's more dangerous. Well,
I'm very proud of you, Dr. Paul. You did all that in defense of this country and, success. And I believe we're both successful only because we woke up every day doing something we loved and we did it well. And now, not hopefully, we are doing it again. And I told you today, number 4 on the poster, have purpose. And this show has given us purpose. Love you, Paul. Thanks for doing the show.
Thanks for having me on. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. We'd appreciate it.
100%. We hope you enjoyed our show. We truly thank you for your time. It's our most valuable commodity. So we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Dr. Paul Thompson, Drew Brown, we both say goodbye. See you guys later.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.